Now, what's going on, everyone? Let me ask you this. Well, let me say this. Do you believe the myth that the money is in the list? And I know you probably sitting there saying, what are you talking about? See, there's an old saying. I learned this probably about 5 years ago when I first got into digital marketing, that the money is in the list. And I never understood it until I really took the blinders off and started digging deep into what I needed to dig deep into. So do you believe that myth? I'm going to explain to you what that myth means. Because see, if you can send one email per week to your list, like I send one email per week to my list, and that one email can generate you thousands of dollars every single month, would you take that? Because see, here's the thing. We out here spending tons of money on ads. And there's nothing wrong with the advertisement is where it's at. But we're spending tons of money on ads. But what's the value of that? Is it to constantly get people to put eyes on your product, or is it to build this list? Now, I don't want you to sit here and think that this is some get-rich-quick scheme, because it's not. This is a proven method. And here's what a lot of people tend to say, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Emailing is not, it doesn't work. I'm going to ask you another question. When you sit there, you go buy a phone. In order for you to use that phone, you have to have what? Email address. Especially with iPhone. You either have a Gmail, Yahoo account, or a cloud account. When you go to apply for jobs now, what's the one thing they ask you? Email. They want your email address. They want your name, your telephone number, and your email address. When you are doing interviews, especially since 2020, since the COVID era, it's all about email, because they email you, they send you a Zoom link, or they send you a questionnaire. Everything's about emailing, right? See, with this, you are building a genuine relationship. So you have to have an email. So with you having an email, this is where you make your money as a marketer, as a podcast host, as a stupendously determined entrepreneur. So if I show you a strategy, if I share with you what is the complete opposite of what gurus tell you or teach you, or what you hear in the streets, or what you hear from your homeboys, your homegirls, talking about emailing is dead. See, in order for you to get to a point where you're making the money without spending more money, you got to do it with email. So let's sit back. Let's contemplate. We're going to take you on a journey on how I turn one email into 5 figures a month without spamming anybody. Let's rock out.
Welcome to the Solopreneurs Chronicles podcast, the show where solopreneurs like you learn how to ignite, ascend, and empower a one-person business that works for you, not the other way around. Each week, your host Anthony Porter will bring you actionable strategies, real-life stories, and expert insights to help you attract clients, create consistent content, and turn your passion into profit. Whether you're just starting out or looking to level up, this is your go-to resource for making big things happen on your own terms. If you're ready to ditch the overwhelm and build a business that fits your life, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Let's dive in.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your man, Tone P, back here again with the Solopreneur Chronicles podcast. And if you're new here, this show is all about helping entrepreneurs and creators build sustainable, profitable businesses without burnout or sleazy tactics. We ain't doing the sleaze, all right? So in today's episode, I'm going to take you on a journey deeper than what you could actually think, because it's something that completely transformed businesses all around the world. But it really transformed mine, because 6 months ago, man, I was sending like 3-4 emails per week, constantly stressing with, about what to write. Now, AI has come into effect, so it kind of helps you out. And if you get the AI to be trained just like you, it could really help you out. But what you have to deal with, or before AI came, I was dealing with people unsubscribing, and it was burning me out. Like, I was really stressed out to the fact that I didn't want to constantly send emails. I didn't want to do it. But then I was chilling. You know how you be chilling and you come across some things. And this approach was discovered as I was chilling, because I accidentally stumbled across it. And then that's when everything started to change for me. Not only did the revenue increase for my emails by 400%, but I got my time back. And my time is very valuable. just like my subscribers are very valuable. And it helped my subscribers start engaging more. And my business became more enjoyable. I wasn't burnt out. I wasn't sitting around hoping. I became the go-to person again in my eyes. Because see, in my eyes, I was struggling. In a lot of people's eyes, they was like, yeah, you giving us that information. But I was struggling. All right. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to grab your notebook because we're about to go deep. We're about to go deeper than Atlantis. All right. So if y'all ready, I'm ready. And if I'm ready, that means we're about to rock. Now, let's jump into this. The number one problem that most businesses have is they still are using traditional email marketing. And that's a problem. Let me start this out this way. Let me address this, especially the elephant in the room, because a lot of people don't want to talk about the elephant. It's not me. I'm just a big guy, but we're not going to talk about the elephant in the room. When most people think about making money with email marketing, they immediately think about frequencies. Send more emails, make more money, right? That's always been the problem. It's never more. But everybody has always thought the more you do, the more you get back. But that's wrong. And this mindset is exactly what's killing most people's email marketing effects. See, here's what's happening with 95% of businesses today. They on that hamster wheel approach. They're sending daily emails, weekly newsletters. Man, they got their promotional sequences. They're treating their email list like it's a slot machine. Pull the handle and hope you hit the jackpot. And that's what it is. That's the problem. Like, a lot of people don't want to admit to that, but that is the problem. I can say this because I was in that hamster wheel. Can you imagine your subscribers feeling like they're being treated like ATMs and not being treated like humans? Listen, times have changed and people have been stuck for a long time. What burns me up, and here's why I unsubscribe to a lot of people's stuff. If you sending me an email, if I subscribe to my purchase and you sending me an email every 10 minutes, we not working. It's not going to happen. That's why you have, when Russell Brunson came out with the Seinfeld sequence, it's a series. It's a series of emails that nurture you. You have a welcoming series. You have a nurturing series. You have an abandoned cart series. Each email plays a part, right? But what leads to people unsubscribing for most people is this right here. It's called the content creation burnout. See, when you are sitting there, and first of all, when you send me more than 4 emails a day, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. And I love it because sometimes I look and see, oh, you sent this? Yeah, okay. And then when I go and get to my big computer, because most of the time I'm either on my tablet or I'm on my mobile, when I get to my big computer and it says you want to unsubscribe, and I'm quick to go, yep, there it is. But can you imagine being a person having to come up with this email sequence every day? Can you imagine? So here's the thing. The content creation burnout is that you're constantly scrambling for content ideas, copywriting, and all of this. You are sitting here blowing your own freaking mind, trying to make sure most of the emails provided have value. But in reality, they have zero real value. They're just noise already in a noisy inbox. And then you run into this conversion crisis. Now, despite sending these emails, actual conversion rates are terrible. They might get clicks, but people aren't buying. Why? Because there's no relationship. There's no trust. There's no compelling reason to take action. Nowadays, now see, back maybe 5 years ago, you could get away with that. But you have to think about this. Think long and hard about it as well. In the world of scammers, you can have this relationship built and still get caught in the crossfire of someone trying to take advantage of someone else. See, when I first started, I was doing beat making, and I learned how to, market from selling this, beats online. But it wasn't about me selling the beats online. It's about me knowing how to market. So I began to say, I need to show folk how to market their music online. So I built me a nice little subscribers list, about 3,000. And at the time, I probably was making about 2,000 or 3,000 a month from my email list. Now, that's just from the list. We're not talking about the ads. Because, see, when you're doing stuff, you got to be able to provide different aspects and different ratios of things and value for the ones who've already purchased from you to keep coming back and purchasing more. But I was working hard for that money. I was spending hours after hours every week crafting emails that, let's just say, barely moved the needle. Now, can you imagine 3,000 subscribers and I'm only making 2,000 or 3,000 a month? That ain't right. See, I had that, what you call a Netflix moment pop into my head. So you know how Netflix doesn't release new content every single day? But when they drop a new season of one of your favorite shows, Like, take for instance, I'm a big Addams Family type of guy. So I've been waiting since 2002 for the new Wednesday to come out. And just here recently, it popped up on the screen coming in August. So now I know, no. And then I'm going to break it down. I probably have to do, you have to be in the build that. And see, when I thought about that, as I was crafting this podcast episode, I was like, yeah. And you know how you can't see it, but you get that bubble that pops up and you like, because that's when it hit me. What if instead of being the annoying friend who texts you 20 times a day, I become that friend who calls you once a week with something so valuable, so, entertaining, so useful that you actually look forward to hearing from me, or you actually look forward to hearing from the person you purchased from. See, if you listening to a podcast and you got something to say, there's nothing wrong with doing a podcast. The thing is you might not know how to do it. See, a lot of people, they go to SoundCloud, they go on, let me say this, they go on to me, they grab the little, and I'm not knocking you. I don't want nobody to think that I'm knocking you because I did that. They grabbed the little starter podcast thing with the little cheap mic, the soundboard. That's how I recorded my first year's episode. I didn't know what I was doing. I ain't had no mentor. I was skeptical because mentors at the time, $5,000, learn how to shoot a podcast? Whatever. Little did I know that I'd probably be further along in my podcast if I had spent that $5,000. But what burnt me was I was dealing with this music so-called producer, bought his course, learning how to use my instruments and all of this and all of that. And when I went back to study some more, it was gone. I'm like, where'd the course go? Like, I didn't even get an email. You didn't tell me nothing. You can't find this person online. Then all of a sudden it pops up, he's got a school. And I'm thinking, boy, I need to leave a review. But I didn't. I just didn't. So I don't want to be that. I've never wanted to be that person. I never wanted to be that person who was going to sit there and hit you 100 times a day. I just want to be that person that gives you something valuable, something that you can use, something that will help you get over the hump. And learning how to podcast, learning how to email market, learning how to run a business, because podcasting is a business, and you will understand once you start treating it like a business. So therefore, I had to get to that point right now. Before we go any further, like I said in the beginning, if you're new, welcome. If you're old, welcome back. But do us a favor. If you enjoy the show so far, just do what you got to do. Like, subscribe, download, share it with a friend. And then, if you truly like it, leave us a review. The Solopreneur Chronicles Podcast.com is where we're at. All right? Just take your time out and do that. Because, see, when we jump into this next section, which is the one email frame, or should I say the one email framework, you will understand why business and podcasting go hand in hand. Because see, podcast is evergreen. Your business can use this because it's actually free marketing. I dropped something for you. I really did. But in order for you to be successful, you got to get into this next section. All right. So section number 2, we're going to talk about the one email framework. Sit back and I had to develop this. I call it the weekly value bomb. And it's built on 3 principles. And that's 3 core principles. All right. If you don't have value, you don't have core principles, your business is going to flop. We just going to keep it a buck with you. All right. So core principle number 1 for me is it's quality over quantity that always wins. See, instead of sending multiple emails or mediocre emails, I send one incredibly valuable email every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And this email typically has, 800 to 1,000, 1,200 words, much longer than most marketing emails. But here's the key. Every single word in this email serves a simple purpose. Now, I spend about 2 or 3 hours crafting this email. And that was before I would spend about 10 to 12 hours. But see, with AI coming in and you can craft your email and you can go back and flip it and make it for you. That's how you get these valuables into the hands, into the eyesight, into the orbits of most of the people out here. Okay, right. Now, I know it sounds like a lot of time, but compared to the 8 to 10 to 12 to 15 hours that I was spending, I'll take that flip any day. Because 2 or 3 hours does not equivalent to me spending a whole day crafting an email. I've missed out on a lot of things. And that can strain a lot of relationships. That can strain a lot of business opportunities. That can strain your whole day. That's the burnout. So just think about that. And then on top of that, what you spend the time on could not perform properly. It's probably performing poorly. So you spending all that time crafting 20 emails when you can just craft one and be done with it, you're good to go. Now, Principle number 2, this is one of the coolest ones. It's the 80-20 value to pitch ratio. Here's what most people get it wrong. And if you follow this particular podcast, I use the 80-20 rule in almost every single aspect. Right? See, they think every email needs to sell something. Wrong. My weekly email follows what I call the 80-20 rule. 80% is pure value, then 20% is soft promotion. See, the first 80% of the email is pure gold. It gives you strategies, it gives you insights, it gives you some behind the scenes stories. I might throw some case studies and some tutorials to my subscribers. So then when they get that, they can immediately implement what we're discussing. I'm giving away content free of charge. There's no gatekeeping over it, none whatsoever. And then the final 20% is where I make like a soft mention of how these, connect to something I offer, or I share a relevant source, or I make a gentle invitation to work together. Plain and simple. And then the third principle is the anticipation effort. The anticipation effect. And this right here is that psychological secret sauce. See, when people know they're only going to hear from you once a week, they start anticipating what you're going to send to them. Now, if they know that it's incredibly valuable, they start waiting for the emails. They're checking it 10 o'clock. See, I do that with Justin Wash's newsletter every Saturday. Now, typically I'm up on a Saturday morning. But what a lot of people don't understand is typically when I'm up, I'm not near my computer. What I do have is I have my mobile device in hand. Once I have the mobile device in hand, I look at the clock. That clock might say 9:49, right? Start cleaning myself up. But before I hit that shower, I know at 10 o'clock, that newsletter drops. I might be in the bathroom brushing my teeth. I'm looking at that mobile. 10 o'clock, your email hits, bing. It's like clockwork. And once it hits, I start, gazing through it, scanning through it. Okay. Shower time, boom. Get out of the shower, boom. Go upstairs, make sure everything's straightened up, boom. I'm out the door. But as I'm out the door, the whole time I'm leaving, check the locks, boom. Make sure both cars are taken care of. You straight? Okay, cool. See you in a little bit. Yeah, all right, boom. She gone, boom. I'm gone, boom. She handling her business, boom. I'm handling my business, boom. In my hand, before I even move, I read the first 3 sections. I let the Jeep warm up. Oh, I need to go to the car wash. It's another way for me to do a little bit more reading. Go to the car wash on a Saturday morning, boom, I'm reading. I anticipate every Saturday because that's the only time he's going to send it. And trust me, it's been pure gold ever since. So creating consistency and creating anticipation and delivering it that's the third and final principle that you need to think about. Now, here's how this actual framework breaks down. All right. You have the hook, first 100 words. I start with a story, surprising tactic, bold statement that immediately grabs the attention, not boring, but I hope this email finds you well enough with, no nonsense. All right. Then I hit you with the context, 200 to 300 words. That's when I start diving deep into the story or the concept, sharing personal experiences, client examples, and even some industry insights that make the topic relatable and more relevant. Now we're going to get into the third portion, and that's the core value. That's 400 to 600 words. And this is the meat of the email. I share the specific strategies, the framework, the insight to, that the subscribers can immediately put to use. I break it down into a step-by-step format because I want it to be so simple that a fifth grader can. And then there's the connection. That's 100 and 150 words. This is where I piece everything together. This is the soft connected value. I just, provided something that I offer. Maybe it's a course, maybe it's a service, maybe it's a free resource. The key is that the connection feels natural and not forced. And then last but not least is the call to action, which is probably about 50 to 100 words. And I end with a simple call to action. Sometimes it's replay. I tell them the biggest takeaway. Sometimes it grabs the free resource. Sometimes it's, if you want help implementing this, you can work with me together. We work together. That's simple. The magic happens because the people want, for the call to action, they have already received massive value. So they like, man, we gonna funk with dude. And that's funk. I'm not cussing. So if you hear me say we gonna funk with dude, that means we gonna work together. All right. So that's what you got to think. Once you get to that point right there, man, it's plain and simple. This is how you work. And see, then you jump into the psychology and the results. And that's part of section number 3. Section number 3 it's basic. It's real basic. See, when you share why this works from a psychological standpoint, understanding the why is crucial for success. See, the scarcity principle is in action. When you email daily, your emails become abandoned. So it's part of an abandonment sequence, right? They're less valuable. Your subscribers just think, man, it's basic economics. When something is abundant, when something is abandoned, it is perceived to have less value. But when an email comes once a week with incredible, valuable content, you're creating scarcity. Your subscribers know, no, they want to wait to get this level of information, insights from you every single week. So it's like the repeat factor. This is where it becomes huge, because when you're consistently providing mass value without asking for anything in return, you trigger a psychological principle of repetition. People feel compelled to reciprocate when they receive value. But here's the key. It has to be genuine value. Don't just pop out and just give some generic BS. It has to be genuine. It's not fluff. It's not BS. It's genuine. And then you have to be building authority through the depth. Short, frequent emails might keep you top of the mind, but they don't position you with authority. See, when you send that email that's value-packed with strategies, insights, tutorials, and everything, that's a value-packed email. And it allows most people, it allows me to dive deep into the topics. I share the details I share detailed insights. I share the demonstrations. I share how to build, or should I say, I'm sharing and showing how I build my authority. And so the results speak for themselves, man. So here are some specific numbers for you. See, month one, I generated about 12K. This was back when I was doing my business with the Beatmaker. And that's when I first started this strategy, the Tuesday emails alone. Month three, the numbers jumped to 18. By month six, I had hit 25K in one single month. Now, I kind of slowed down because I switched over from beat making marketing and all of that. It got behind the mic as a podcaster. So I'm rebuilding, but I'm currently between 15 to 20K just using this one email. And that's how the financials are supposed to hit. All right. But that's just part of it. Here, the other benefits that I've experienced. My engagement rates is up 22% to 31%. I got a better click-through rate. That's from 2.1, to 4.8%. I reduced my unsubscribers by 60%. My referrals have gone up tremendously, and my leads are more qualified. Have you ever paid attention, like when you start an Instagram account, you get all the people from elsewhere until you start building traction, and then once you start building traction, all the people that you are targeting start to really come and funk with you. Yeah, that's what this is. And then it became time freedom. When I used to spend those 8 to 10 to 15 hours a week, I'm down to 2 or 3 hours a week now. All right. So let's think about this. Let's think about this case study. 3 years ago, I had a Tuesday March in March. It was a Tuesday in March. And I shared a detailed case study about how I helped a client increase their revenue by 300%, right? Using this specific strategy. The email was probably about 1,100 words long. I broke it down, the exact, process, shared some screenshots, provided templates, basically gave away a complete blueprint that others charge $497 for. At the end, I mentioned that if anyone wanted help implementing this strategy, all they had to do was just, hey, give me a call, reach out. So that particular email itself, this is when I had to hire a team. That particular email itself generated 847 email opens, 94 click-throughs to my calendar, 23 book calls, 11 new clients, and $47,000 in revenue. So I'm quite sure you're asking, why'd you quit with the Beatmaker? Because the game has changed. People who make beats, I'm old school. I wanted to be in the studio with you. I wanted to market, show you how to do this. But now you have these young cats, and shout out to these young cats, man. I'm not mad at them. They elevated the level of play. I didn't adapt to it. You can go online right now on YouTube and find a beat, reach out to them online and cut out the middleman. And they're making, if you listen to what I said, I made 47K. They're making K just for the artist to be on the track. Okay. 200K. And then if they got the business sense to sit there and structure the contract right, every time that song is streamed on YouTube or Spotify, they getting a percentage, right? Because a lot of people don't understand, like you BMI, ASCAP, the streaming world has taken over. You got your money up front, but you want to make sure you get some money on the back end because that's where your legacy's built at. It's just a lot of BS. And at that time, I didn't understand streaming. So I'll be the first to say I'm an old head, so streaming wasn't in my blood. And the young cats didn't want to really sit down and come on, OG, man. You know, OG, come on, yeah. And how y'all do this streaming crap? You gotta flip it this way. And the teaching methods just didn't work for me. So that's why. There's no getting around it. That's why. So it was time. And I wanted to get the word out on how to market, but I also wanted to do a podcast, man. I just wanted to talk. And then when I started doing that, it really elevated to a lot of things. So, all right, so let's talk about the compound effect. Most people don't realize this approach has a compounded effect. Each valuable email that's sent out builds on the previous one. My subscribers aren't just reading one good email, they're experiencing a consistent pattern of valuable tools that builds trust over time. So after 6 months of doing this with people, we reached out to me saying things like, I've been following the emails for months and I'm ready to work. And then when it comes to that point, you know you've done something correct, right? A lot of people, and then another thing, let's go back to the music. The young people want their money right there, right now. And I was stuck because I chose quality over quantity. They was pumping out 20 and 30 beats. I follow people like Just Blaze and I follow people like Kanye. It was the quality I wanted to produce. And I'm not saying they don't not producing good music. I'm not saying that at all. Because Metro's out here killing it. Southside's killing it. Jess is killing it. Just made enough. These producers is killing it, man. The old heads are still there, but if you pay attention, the young ones is popping out more. Mustard popping out more. Then you got Dre, Swizzy, Timbo, Premier. These are the cats that I looked up to. M1. A lot of people don't know who M1 is. Shout out to the producer M1, man. Shout out to Q-Tip, man. All right. Now, you got to be able to implement this roadmap. So implementing this roadmap, it takes time. So let's get into it. Choose your day and time. All right. So pick a day that you're going to do this. Pick the day that you're going to send out your email. And what time you're going to send it out. I chose Tuesday at 10 a.m. That's when I send mine out. All right. Number 2, I create a content bank. I use Notion. I create this content bank. I put all my content in a Notion file and I go through it. I make sure that it resonates with what I want to do and what I want to say. And then I just put everything together. So I brainstorm about 15 to 20 topics to make sure everything is perfectly lined up. All right. So you just got to think about that. So think about this. Common problems your audience faces, mistakes you see people making in the industry, behind the scenes insights for your business, case studies and success stories, and frameworks and strategies that have worked for you. Not that work for somebody else, but for you. All right. Then you have to step 3, master the structure. Use the framework I shared earlier, but make sure you own it. Keep, the key components are hook, context, core value, connection, and call to action. And then you got to have the value test. Before you send that email, ask yourself, if this was a blog post, will people read it? Will people share it? If this was a mini course lesson, will people pay for it? That's what you got to ask yourself. If no, don't send it. If it's yes, send it out and let's rock on. Okay. And then number 5 is track the right metrics. That's where people make a mistake. Don't just track the open rates and click-through rates. Track the revenue per email, replies and engagement, unsubscribe rates, referrals and forwards, and the quality of the leads generated. And then you take step number 6 and you have the 90-day challenge. Commit to doing this for 90 straight days. 1 valuable email per week, every week for 90 days. Don't try to optimize or change nothing. Lay out your structure, get your time, send it out, do this for 90 days and see what happens. Most people do it for 2 or 3 weeks and they quit. They done. All right. So you have to do that. Now, here's some common mistakes I see people make. First common mistake is they make it all about themselves. Nope. Share personal stories, but always tie them back to the value that to your reader. All right. Number 2, they're inconsistent. You got Tuesday to shoot it on Tuesday. Don't shoot Tuesday, then turn around and say, I ain't gonna be able to make it next Tuesday. Nah, man, be consistent with that. All right. Number 3, focus on perfection over publication. Your first few emails won't be perfect. That's okay. Because once you start perfecting it, you're definitely going to be straight with it. All right. Number 4, the number 4 mistake is making sales pitches is too obvious. nurture, give value off connection. All right. You don't pitch nothing. Everything should just feel natural that you're providing. And then next, be patient. Number 5 is they're not being patient, man. You got to be patient. This is a sprint. This ain't a marathon. It's a sprint. So that's what we're sitting at. Now, before we wrap up today, I want to make sure you have everything you need. So first, if you found value in this episode, you know what you need to do. Leave us a review. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite streaming platform. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're on Apple, just make sure you subscribe, man. Download that joint. Download that joint so you can go back. If you need to find me, you can find me at Solopreneur Chronicles PC on Instagram. We're going to do some behind the scenes. We're going to rev things back up a little bit. Shout out to myself. I started a new business. It's called Snap Crackle Gourmet. If you in the Louisville metropolitan area, I'll let your boy. All right. We make gourmet popcorn, the most fantastic lemonade flavors. And we just started dabbling with pretzels. So shout out to Uplift because that's where I found a lot of this information. Shout out to my guy, Simon over at orderapps.net. All right. Makes it easier for you to order, makes it easier for you to pick up, or makes it easier for me to deliver. Simple as that. Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't just sit around and make a podcast. I like to be out moving. So that's what we're sitting at, man. Be on the lookout for some completely weekly valuable bombshells that's going to possibly drop. There's some things that are changing. We need to keep you up to date. Look, subscribe to the YouTube channel because the YouTube channel is where you can learn how to podcast. You can learn how to market. You can catch the full episodes from the podcast, but you can also learn how to position yourself as an authority figure and get you some of those proven tools for free. Or you just keep coming back and get this weekly content and be perfect. All right. But that's all we got for today, man. Listen, check us out at the solopreneurchroniclespodcast.com and we're going to see you. All right. Building an email list is so important. And I didn't say it in the beginning, but let me say it right now. The money is in the list for one simple factor. What happens if Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all decide they want to shut down? If you haven't built a list, you won't survive. But if you have a list of 5,000 or more, you should be able to make $1 from each person on your list. If you give them value, if you give them consistency, if you give them structure, if your framework is just as perfect as we want it to be. All right. That's how you do it, man. We out of here. Enjoy the rest of your time. Keep building, keep grinding, keep growing. Let's get it. And I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all. My peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Solopreneurs Chronicles podcast. I hope today's episode gave you the insights and inspiration you need to take the next step in your business journey. If you enjoyed the show, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and share this episode with a fellow solopreneur. Your feedback means the world to me and helps us reach more people just like you. Let's thank our producers of the show, Sincere and Charlie Straughter, Rhea Cash and Theory Porter. So don't forget, for more tips, tools, and resources, subscribe to the show. So just keep building, keep growing, and I'll see you next time.